Hello, welcome back.
Ah! Welcome back to the Nathan and Steven podcast Time Times. Talk about movies and stuff and shows and stuff and things.
Oh, it's
Today we have
stuffing.
Danny and Joey again,
Yep,
filming back to
again.
back. It's not different days, Steven, like you said in the last.
It's different. It's not the same.
Anyway, today we're talking about Star Wars prequels. Definitely a point of controversy. The strong following for some reason. So yeah, we'll just talk about the three of them, give our thoughts, and I don't know, kind of go into them. Yeah. So just
Okay.
first, same thing I asked in the WandaVision one. As a whole trilogy, not one by one, are they good? Is it a good trilogy?
Hell
Amazing.
no.
Best thing I've ever watched.
Joey,
That's all I
I
have.
mean, it's
No.
entertaining
It's
sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah, but it's so boring.
it's fine.
It's so
hilariously
I don't think
awful.
they're good.
I don't think they're bad, but I don't really
Yes, you
I
do.
don't think
Yeah.
they're good either.
No, yeah.
Just
you
average.
do.
They're definitely like big. They're definitely they're part of the saga.
Stop lying to yourself, Nathan.
So
They're
okay,
yeah.
before we even get into like talking about specifics, I just thought it would be interesting to rank all three in that trilogy, so we could get a general idea of our thoughts, top to bottom. So, Dan, you can start it.
Like ranking? Like
Yeah, just those
Rank
three.
out
Trilogy.
of the three, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Revenge on the top, obviously, and then Attack
Mhm.
and then Phantom, right?
I
No, I'm doing
agree
I
with
think
that list.
because
Attack
like Phantom,
Revenge.
I
and
couldn't
Phantom are
watch it.
close.
Like, I was watching it on my own, and I couldn't like. I was just so bored that I was watching it, but then talking to you guys on an Xbox party at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
They're
like,
both really
just
boring.
to keep myself like from falling asleep.
Joey.
Attack, I was able to watch it, but then this when we watched it again a second time, like I really just wanted to leave. I don't know. I
Mm.
thought like it was funnier, like in a like than I remember, but there was
And then
only a
ironic.
couple scenes.
And yeah.
But then Revenge is just entertaining the whole way through, even though there's just some really, I don't know,
Yeah.
big plot holes
Definitely
and stuff.
something. Yeah, what about you, Joey?
Steve, you said you're the same, right?
Probably either
Probably.
the same or maybe Phantom Menace better than Attack of the Clones. I don't know.
Yeah. Mine is like it's really close, but I think Attack is
Just
so
like nothing really stands out from either of
Yeah.
those.
yeah, they're both so boring. I
So
feel like
okay,
yeah. They're
okay.
both
So mine changes after watching Phantom. I was like, yeah, this one's like obviously like the worst. And watching Attack, I was like, I don't know if I like this better. But thinking about it, I have to say Attack just because Phantom Menace, you could literally skip that. That's probably not a good trait in a movie. So
And
yeah,
also,
I guess I agree with the list. They're
I was
interchangeable.
also
They're
one
just
of those people who liked Phantom more because of that last fight scene. But then it just like, like some people said like it tricks you into liking the movie when
yeah.
all
Mhm,
like the
I
rest
was
of the
gonna
movie
say.
was just boring as hell.
No, that's
Like
what
I only liked that
Attack
part,
like,
and then in Attack I liked the Yoda fight because it was hilarious. The
That was good.
Anakin
What do
and
you
Padme
my
mean?
romance
favorite
because
fight
it was
scene.
hilarious. Um, there was more stuff. I don't know. The
Yeah.
Coliseum thing was a lot of people like it, but I mean,
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
really
you're okay.
care.
Yeah, the question I was gonna ask is like, what do you like about them? I was gonna say as a whole and from each movie, but I don't know, even judging just by Danny's review of it, most of the stuff he actually likes is ironic. Like he doesn't actually enjoy
Yeah,
the stuff that they're trying to make good. So I mean, I'll give it. I think the fights are a lot better than the originals. I don't know if they have any emotional weight to them. Like I didn't really care what was happening when Qui Gon died. I could literally have cared less. I was just like, oh, he's the old guy, the beard. So I don't know. I mean, the fights are definitely better choreographed, so I'll give it that. And the story is like it's cohesive. It goes all the way through. It's all tied together. That's not. I don't like it, but it does tie together. So they get to that point, just because the sequels.
No,
Yeah, I think the fights are pretty much the only good part.
I agree with that. I don't know what you mean by cohesive. The story's
and
so
Cohesive,
Anakin
so
and
bad.
Padme.
as in
It like goes
it
in order.
yeah, it's in order and it's like clearly a storyline he wrote down and then he broke it up into parts. And we're not trying
But
like
it's not
we'll tell
conveyed like very properly at all. Like you can't. You're gonna have a very hard time understanding every detail.
It's really
I feel like that's not.
badly presented as a story.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, let's just talk about the Disney. We'll just get into it. We'll just start
Yeah,
talking.
what's
So
bad
just
about
what,
this?
what don't we like?
Um,
Should we
for
go
one,
movie by movie, or just in
I'm
general?
just
Yeah, we
gonna
can
talk.
let's start with Phantom. Let's start with Phantom.
Okay, well, okay. Phantom is boring.
Boring.
So
Nobody
I
has
mean,
any emotion. This
There wasn't a
emotion
Yeah.
is
main
reflected
character.
dead.
Yeah, what Danny said, there was no emotion, no acting at all. Uh,
just that the
People were
main
just kind of
plot
saying
revolves
stuff.
around politics and trade regulation, and even though it's like comprehensible, if you like pay attention, it shouldn't be that like literally the originals are just good versus evil, Empire versus Rebels, and it's that simple. Like anyone could watch that.
mhm.
Prequels, you got to be, I don't know, you got to be somewhat mature, and that's not really fair to
Feel
like most people
they
who watch it.
they try to
Especially
do
because like
more
it was
and they
written for
messed it up.
children. Like I don't know how that movie's supposed to be guided towards children, but according to George Lucas, it is.
George
Yeah, he
So
said Star Wars
Lucas, man.
kids, and he decided to make that.
even George Lucas himself and the team regretted like almost like everything they did with the movie.
Yeah, on that rewatch, they're just
Yeah,
Jar Jar's the key to all of this.
and
Stop.
there's that video where like all those diehard Star Wars fans were um, watching the premiere.
They're
Everybody was
like
all
in
dressed
denial.
up and
They
stuff.
liked it.
Everybody was so hyped. People were sleeping by the theater the night before, and then they were all getting interviewed and they're all like hyped. And then after the movie, some of them like they were not as excited. Some of them hated it. Some of them were like, eh.
I thought all of
Like
them
when
liked
you're
it.
like that big of a Star Wars fan and you thought Phantom Menace was even just okay, then you know it's like a bad movie because like they're biased with the Star Wars fan.
I thought in
Like
that
that alone
video,
tells you how serious
like after watching it, I thought a lot of people liked it because I remember the comments being like, "Oh, look at they didn't try to compare it to anything. They didn't overanalyze it, and everyone thought it was good." And now the Star Wars fan base is toxic and no one likes it anymore. I was like, that's not
Let's save.
reasoning.
I want to save the fan base in the sequels till the end. Joey, what are your biggest like? Uh, what are your biggest like flaws with Phantom?
The acting's bad, and it's the dialogue's bad, and
Yeah,
it's boring.
yeah. I mean, regardless of plot, like we talked about this in the MCU ones a little bit. Like, you could go through each character in Phantom and just have no emotional attachment to them, or think they're interesting or cool at all, with the exception of Darth Maul, just because he has two lightsabers, like a double-ended lightsaber. It's just so bland. Like it, it's really feels like it's trying really hard to be some like well-written, thought-out movie when it's not presented well, like Steven was saying.
Not even Darth Maul. Darth Maul is because of Clone Wars, but Darth Maul in the movie doesn't even have any lines.
He has like
Doesn't say
two,
anything.
but
See, he
that's
has
why he's
lines.
the
I don't
why he's the
remember.
best character because he doesn't have to speak the dialogue. So and
I just want to rant about the trilogy as a whole, just really quick.
let's hear it.
Just the way the pacing of the movies is so mad. Like I noticed it the most in Revenge, and I was ranting about it pretty much the whole
Yeah.
time. And the transitions make it so much worse. Oh my gosh. But uh the fact that they just like cut from scene to scene and there's like four different storylines going on in Revenge and they have 15-second segments that they just cut to that aren't needed in the movie at all. Like there's
It's
like it'll go from Yoda like I remember one of them when I finally started talking about it a lot more and it was just like a prime example. Yoda got in like the little capsule thing or whatever to go up to I don't even know, but like to meet up with the other people. And then it cut away to another scene for like 20 seconds and then cut back to them walking in a hallway
yeah.
and there was like some exposition maybe, I don't know. And then it cut away again for like it was like a 10-second scene. And none of that needed to be included in the movie. It was just so useless. They were just trying to pad the runtime. And all the other movies were like that, but I feel like Revenge was the worst. And it made me mad. I just, no.
Yeah, I
I
don't know
think
if
it's
you
just
saw this.
because you
Yeah,
go.
you know.
I was
No,
just gonna
mine's
say
hold
it's
up.
just because it's such a complex movie, and it's so good that they need all these different stories.
So
So
I don't
many
know.
things
I've heard this
going on.
before where George is like very good ideas, man. Like he's clearly like capable of writing a story, but he cannot present it in the right way. And like Danny and I talked about this a lot, where like he had like clearly for the originals like a crew for him. What was it like to direct or to edit it or to like?
Team to edit his lines because when he first wrote
Yeah,
the dialogue for the characters,
so
it was
bad.
exactly like the prequels.
yeah.
Like the actors even made fun of him apparently,
Yeah,
and
that's what
he had a team to
And
review and like revise his dialogue, which made it better.
it's definitely very blatant in the prequel. Like you could just tell watching it.
No
That, like
human
he had
talks
nobody.
like that. So strange.
Yeah, I know. Especially so. Okay, we'll just go into attack because there's not much to talk about with Phantom. Honestly, it's just really bland, and then the last fight happens. Okay, so with attack, that we'll start with the romance. So
Don't want to.
even if they had chemistry and it was like believable, yeah, like see, nobody talks like that. Like who flirts with a girl while talking about how much they hate sand and like I don't even know like what I think that was a metaphor, but I don't know like what it was alluding to.
Like,
I didn't know if it was Obi-Wan or I was really confused.
and like Padme has no reason to be attracted to Anakin whatsoever. Like, he
Like
kills
it's pretty
people, and then she's like, "Oh, yeah, I love you now. I deeply love you." That's what people say to each other. No,
She
they
said,
don't.
I truly love you. Yeah, it's a human stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I want to comment on just attack. Just
It was
you
just
know,
the
The
romance.
parts with Obi-Wan were fine.
Yeah, Obi. I
yeah,
don't like Obi. Nah, his storyline's kind of
it's
boring.
better than
He's
the
like,
other one.
It's
yeah, the
better.
only
Yeah,
good
Obi-Wan
but
was
like
character.
I don't
a
really
good
want to see it.
actor. Was the only good actor on the show.
Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor.
Yeah. Even though he's not even I don't remember, but like does he show any emotion? Even
He
him
does,
being
Yeah.
but it's hard to
but it's
like
not
the
even
line.
his fault. The
Yeah, the
story
lines that
is
they're
his fault.
given, I don't
He's doing the
really
best.
expect the actors to be
Yeah.
able to do anything.
Well, there's that one clip that Cosmonaut used. It was for Attack of the Clones. He was like, it was talking about the dialogue and just like the difference between. I don't know. This is just what I noticed. Like Hayden Christensen. We haven't even talked about him. He's terrible, but he was like, I wish I could stop dreaming about my mom. I wish I could dream about Padme. And it's like really awkward. And then Obi-Wan just like walks up. He's like, dreams pass in time. And then it like waits a second, then it cuts. It's just like really poorly shot and edited, but like he did a like okay job of delivering like a super weird line. So it's clear he's doing a good job. It's just like really impossible with what he's given, I guess. I don't know. And
And
the
then
whole
there was
thing,
a
like the whole
scene.
trilogy,
It
his whole
was, I
turn
don't
is
know. It was
based
just. Wait,
I
you
don't. His whole turn is based on like his love for Padme, right? Like because he wants to save her life, but they don't even try to build up a relationship like a believable one until Revenge. Like in number two, they're clearly trying to do something, but it's like flirting and it's creepy, and he like looks at her like in like perverted ways, and then he starts like bragging about how he killed women and children. It's just like everyone
Times
memes on it, but when you break it apart, it's like so. Like you're right. Like she has no reason at all actually to be attracted to him at all. It's yeah.
It's because
I
he
don't
was
know.
such a nice boy
Oh yeah, he's.
when he was
You're funny.
6.
You an angel?
Are you an angel? Yeah. What is? Does anyone comment on the Coliseum and then the final fight? Because a lot of people seem to like. Yeah. I want to hear
I
everyone's.
I mean, I can respect someone who thinks that's the best part of the movie because it is, but it's
Yeah.
not
That's like
that
comparing like a rock to
good.
a piece of garbage, though. Like
Yeah,
it's.
dude, it's like okay, I, if it was better choreographed as a fight scene, all the Jedi could have been cool. But in the one scene that like people think is good is they're running at the droids, I
Droids
think, or
with
what?
their
Yeah,
lightsabers.
and there's just like this with the lightsaber. It's so
They're just
funny.
no, and like 10 of them immediately just get like laid out because they're running with their lightsabers in their head. Yeah, it's really interesting. No, yeah, I don't. I think people just see it fondly because they remember watching like an hour and a half of a movie where nothing like really happens of interest, and then I don't know, like you're kind of craving action. Like that droid factory sequence is so dumb with like Padme in the bucket and then Anakin just running around like I don't even know what he does, and then R2 and 3PO. I don't know what that was. C3PO getting like attached to a droid's head. It's like a plot point.
It was
Comedy.
funny. It was,
George Lucas,
Yeah,
George Lucas
so
is a
much.
comedy genius. Honestly, Jar Jar,
Jar Jar is the key to all of
perfect
this.
character.
My favorite quote.
Such a comic, like well-written comic relief.
Danny, what do you think about the
comment, yeah, you
Coliseum?
haven't said anything. You haven't comment on any of this.
I don't even know. Like I already like forgot what happens.
You know,
Basically,
All I
they're
remember is that they charge at the droids, and the part before that they're
remember
like
some of
trying to
this.
escape. Like they're all
Mhm.
chained up, and like animals are supposed to eat them. And
yeah.
then they
Okay. That
That's
was
all I remember. I don't remember what happens after that. I don't know.
um,
Was the Yoda scene after the Coliseum?
yeah, it
Or
was like
Then the Coliseum, like it's like the cavalry. It's almost like Endgame, but like 1,000 times worse.
yeah,
Like they get in this pit to fight monsters for some reason. Like I don't know why they just wouldn't execute them straight up. Like I don't
I
know
feel
why
like
they.
is
Anyway,
it
it
no,
was
like
they
really
the
didn't
whole
weird.
thing
fight.
Count Dooku set up?
Yeah,
Yeah, they just
Nandu just kind of walks around, but like yeah, he's there. But in the Coliseum, like all the Jedi show up and then they start running and stuff. I just realized they do this twice. Like first, like they're in trouble, then the Jedi show up and they're all fighting. Then like half of them die, and then they're all surrounded. Then the clones come down like 10 minutes later. Like I don't know why they do that twice. I'm not realizing that they did the same plot thing.
you liked it. It's good.
I
And then
it's
there's
just
that
really
scene where Dooku's riding the like I don't know, like the
oh he just falls
it's
off the
just
cliff
like
like
Oh yeah.
just like falling.
It
Oh,
hovers, so
yeah.
he's fine.
but I know, but it's so poorly shot. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea to include.
I want to talk about
really
the
the
Yoda
only
fight
thing
because,
that
like,
was
looking back on it, it doesn't really bother me. But a lot of people were pissed. I think it's mostly like the people who grew up with the originals and they're nostalgic. Because Yoda literally is like they used a puppet, so and he looks like this wise old man. He just gives like the best advice. He's like Iroh from Avatar: Last Airbender. You guys haven't seen it. Anyway. He's just really likable and wise and smart. So then I think to see him like use a lightsaber and then like start doing flips is off putting. I don't hate it. It's definitely like the flips are a little bit much, but like it was the best part of the movie, so it's hard to
Yeah.
knock it.
the
Um,
only thing that was like consistently good with the prequels. I feel like was just the fight scenes, as far as I remember. Because Phantom Menace, that last fight scene was good. Attack of the Clones, the
Yeah.
Yoda fight scene was good. The only thing that was bad was that one scene where Dooku and Anakin are fighting, where it's just
Oh my
like
gosh.
it cuts back and
oh
forth.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
so
Like
funny.
fully,
so
Just like
okay,
black
why
and
did
it's like
they
lasers.
and
in
in
Revenge
Revenge,
they
even though
fight
that
again,
fight
and
became
it's like a
over.
real fight and it's good. So why was that one like
Because they
I don't
wanted to
know.
make it dark.
It was weird though. Like it was
They
just lights
learned from their
It's so
mistakes.
funny.
really weird.
Um,
Nah, and then it's just it's not good. Attack is not good, and I've heard people defend it, and it's just not good. I don't see anything redeeming, and it's arguably as boring as Phantom. Like I think I checked my phone to see what time it is more than I did in like
it's
Phantom.
pretty
So
boring. Just
yeah, and
like at least you somewhat know what's going on in the movie, but
yeah,
it's just like the plots are just so bad. Like no one wants to see Anakin and Padme on an planet, like a different planet, for like an hour, and then
Ugh.
Obi-Wan running around figuring out the clone army. Like
yeah. Let's
it's
talk about
so
Obi-Wan's
boring.
plot.
You
Yeah,
instantly lose interest in that title crawl. Like I feel like for
yeah.
me, it
It's,
was.
it's the second time. Like after
Why
the
did they
Phantom
make the
Menace title
title
crawl
cross
sucked.
so bad in the prequels?
All of them are.
Fine in the
It's just
original.
that Phantom Menace is
I
just.
swear in the originals they're shorter. Maybe they're not because the
They were
song is
just
like the same
simple.
length.
They are
They like
shorter. I think
they
The New
basically
Hope is like
symbolized the
22
whole movie. Like
paragraphs.
the
Yeah.
Like
originals,
Attack
it
of the
was so
Clones, Phantom
simple and
Menace,
so good.
Revenge, they're all like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
New Hope.
you definitely look back like on the originals. Like almost after every movie, I'd take a minute to be like, man, the issues I had with the originals are nothing compared to this. It's just stuff just kind of happens. Like Obi-Wan's subplot, like it's interesting because it's Jango Fett and he's like discovering the clone army. It's like a mystery like quest almost because he knows like he gets that clue from the dart
Yeah.
after the opening sequence where he jumps out a window and yeah, I don't know. It's definitely the best one of the better parts of the movie, but it's not. I don't know. It's
I
definitely
don't know. I
extended
feel
a
like
lot
when
because
a
But it's
movie,
good.
all in all, is like that boring, I feel like good scenes like that are still boring because you're still bored from all the
yeah,
other boring stuff that happens. Like when you look back on it and you reflect on what happened in the movie, it sounds good in your head. Like we were talking about earlier, it's presented in a bad way, so it's still boring.
Yeah.
And that's like
Obi-Wan's
the mistake all the prequels suffer from.
Obi-Wan's subplot, it's probably the most confusing. And I probably wouldn't have got it right away if you like hadn't explained it, Nathan.
I
'Cause I
know.
was
Like
just like
I should not
I was
have to.
kind of lost. Like not revenge. Phantom, I would have been completely lost. Like I had no idea what was happening. But that was like a
I
bit
think
confusing. It was just like
if you watch
I
it on
couldn't.
your own and like know decent amount about Star Wars, it's not that hard to understand. I
I
don't
know it's
think.
really wordy. Like
It's just really weird. It's like, oh, this Jedi did it, and they never like they hint like they basically they don't
they
say that
explain
he
it in the
didn't
Clone
do
Wars
it, but
show.
they
You
were
should
like
not need to do that
it
to.
was just
So.
yeah.
I don't know, and the best way to summarize, like Danny was talking about, like you look back on scenes and you watch it's not good. Like these are good YouTube like fights. Like you'll see like in your feed, it's like, oh, Count Dooku versus Obi Wan and Anakin, Revenge of the Sith. You watch it like, dang, that was a pretty good fight. But then when you watch it through like in the movie, it's still good, but it's like tying it all together. It just feels like bland. The best example is just Revenge of the Sith as a whole. I remember that movie being way. Let's just move to Steven. What did you think? Because we hyped that up to be the most memed and the best like to me it was like still one of the top movies even though I knew it was like kind of stupid, but like what did you
Yeah.
think of Revenge?
I don't know. I think you guys did overhype it a little bit. Like
But
the final scene was like cool, but it was just really boring still. Like everything
yeah,
that
it was
happened
still,
wasn't. It was just unexciting. Like I expected.
I don't remember it being that boring though. Like I thought it was hyping it to like what I remembered
Yeah,
it to be.
yeah. It was just like I knew. I was just like excited for the final scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin because I knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah,
And even that was interrupted with Yoda doing things. I don't know. He fought Palpatine and then ran for some reason. Why?
get him back to
Yeah, that was weird.
Dagobah.
And for me, like, because I watched Attack and Phantom like the 2 nights like before, I feel like I liked Revenge more than I should have because, uh, like when I got to that movie, I was like, oh, this one was supposed to be the good one, and then I watched it, and then obviously like after watching the other two prequels, it was so much better,
It's like a
but it's
breath of
still
fresh
not
air.
good. But then because I watched two like boring movies in the past, I like I liked Revenge more because it was just more engaging. Like now that I look back on Revenge, it's still like a really stupid movie compared
It
to like
was not
Attack
disappointing
and
because I've seen it a lot, but like a lot of the stuff just feels random. Like Chancellor Palpatine's like captured off screen, and then they.
Yeah,
So like I think the best sequence in the whole movie is the beginning because it focuses on one group. Like they're not switching back and forth, and
Yeah,
like it's actually cool. Like them rescuing him and fighting Dooku, and then like that was interesting. I thought, and it wasn't too
it's
long, but
because
it felt definitely
it's
lengthy.
because it was like I think it had to do with the pacing because I wasn't complaining about it until they split up. But when Obi-Wan and Anakin split up, everything went wrong.
It's
It's
the
just
same
like
issue that you have with Attack. Yeah, it just keeps going back and forth. Like
yeah, but then like they split up into farther groups with Yoda and Chewie, and then
yeah, that, I
it
forgot about
had like Mace Windu and the Palpatine. It was just like a lot was happening at the same time, and like they just didn't present it in a good way at all. And the
maybe I'm
music
missing
sequence
something,
was
but
like,
like
yeah,
watching it last night, like okay, in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine and Anakin's like connection is clear, and like how he would be convinced by him, and he's like a smart guy, and he's the actor's doing a good job, so you actually believe he's like this brilliant guy. But like, do they really like have a relationship in the first two movies? Like, I swear they
No,
barely.
they don't.
they talk about
Yeah,
how
like
they had a
They
relationship.
have like 2 lines together.
wait,
Yeah,
who
but
and who?
like they
Palpatine and
talked
Anakin.
about how
Oh
it's
yeah,
implied that they had a relationship, like a longer relationship off screen, but we didn't see
Yeah,
that.
but then
Yeah.
Clone
off
Wars.
screen.
The the only thing is like when um I don't know, Palpatine says like, oh, they're not giving you enough responsibility, they don't trust you. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
Everything else they just didn't talk about.
The one like not brilliant thing he did, but like the one thing that I actually thought like, dang George, like that was actually good writing is where he said like he was talking about his like achievements and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, like they have to make you a master. Like I'm gonna tell them that they should appoint you, and like there's no better person for the job. Like you're already better than them. So he got his expectations up to be like that high. Then by the time he got to the council and they put him on the council, but they didn't make him a master, like I could see how he'd be frustrated because he set this expectation in his mind. Like that was the one believable thing I saw, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Palpatine's plan. I mean, Cosmonaut talked about it a lot. It was just
It's so
so
weird.
all over the place.
Because in the first one, he's trying to kill Padme. Well, he's not trying to because he's trying to get her to sign the Federation papers.
Mm,
The
Then
second
no
one, he tries
more.
to assassinate her.
Then no more.
But then he needs her for the plan because he needs Anakin to love her. But then he also tries to kill her in a Coliseum. Like, it's just really weird. And then Jar Jar, I still want to comment on it, how he gave emergency powers to Chancellor Palpatine. Like, basically gave him
Yeah.
all the power. And he's like, I'll give him up when the war's over.
It was
So
just
Jar
like,
Jar's basically responsible for the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Republic.
wasn't
Hope
his
everyone
only
knows
Jar
that.
job
Jar
was
is a
to
Sith.
vote
Yeah, Jar
for
Jar
what
is a
Padme like said?
Sith.
Wasn't Jar Jar's only job to just vote for what Padme said? Like, why did
Yeah,
he?
but then he
Like,
he
stay
thought
here and
he was
take
doing something
place.
good and he messed up.
I don't.
Like he literally like that's a pivotal like plot point.
I know. but it's dumb. I don't like it.
What does everyone think of here, Danny? You go first. What do you think of like the General Grievous subplot with Obi-Wan?
That was only made to sell toys. And like
What?
Not wrong.
Star Wars, like I don't. That's what I've been hearing from like
I
not only
remember it being
Cosmonaut
so
but like
cool
other
though,
people. Like that was so unnecessary. Like what the heck?
and it
Come on.
literally removes Obi-Wan from the plot like completely,
Yeah.
which I guess
I
is
th-
necessary because if he was there, he would have talked sense into Anakin.
Yeah.
I think like the story itself could be good. It's just really poorly executed, and Anakin just the way he is in the movie is just a bad character. So if they had
Yeah,
done it better, it could have been good.
Yeah, and not only is he a bad character, the guy portraying him is not convincing at all that he's a human.
Yeah. I mean, it should have just been focused more on Anakin and his turn to the dark. Like it was just so sudden. Like I mean, they hinted at it
Twice.
in Attack with him killing people, and then he was good again, kind of at the beginning of Revenge. Then he just suddenly turned bad for some reason, and it was just like there was no like in between period really. And like I remember you pointed it out, like he doesn't feel like Darth Vader. Like that actor, that's not Darth Vader. It's not. You don't think of him
He's way too much of
being,
like a child.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's returning for a new show called Obi-Wan
I don't
Kenobi.
want
Oh my
Is
god.
he
As
actually?
Darth Vader.
People are excited. Have you seen the comment sections?
Yeah.
They're like,
Hey,
yes, Hayden
maybe
deserves
he's
justice.
grown. Maybe he's gotten better.
And he said he's seen clips of other movies and he's the same.
God.
Good.
Well,
Not that I've seen it in any other
Him
movies,
and
but-
George
it's
Lucas.
not gonna feel like
Great
him, and he's gonna
up
be covered by a mask. So I don't.
Yeah, I know. But to hear his,
That
I hope I don't
doesn't-
hear his voice. Piss me off.
No, that
No,
There are
they,
I don't.
they
trailers
I
like
don't
with
think they
him.
can do that.
it won't be his voice, but like it'll still have. I mean, the
Because I
line.
don't even get what's the point of bringing him back. Like,
I don't know because he's in the
So
Darth Vader
that
suit.
because just fans just
Fan favorite.
apparently like him and they
fans?
want to see him.
They want.
People
more
think there could be
Darth Vader.
flashbacks too to the Clone Wars times,
Oh,
but Danny, I want to talk about that. Like, what pisses off us specifically even more about Hayden Christensen. Like, after watching the show, and Anakin's a completely different character, and he's like likable and mature. Like to go back and see Hayden
one of your
Christensen just
favorite
being a
characters after watching Clone Wars, and then you remember how he was in the prequels, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just really
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah, because it's just frustrating. It's just very frustrating. They're not bad, but they could have been better. I don't know. Would anyone call them like bad movies? Like I don't.
They are bad movies. I'm
not
just.
something I
I
would
mean,
watch.
they're not good. They're not
Yeah.
terrible.
They're bad.
They're not watchable. I mean, Danny doesn't think so.
I
But
can't
I think
watch.
they are.
I wouldn't call Revenge a bad movie, but I would
But
call
watching
Attack.
Revenge, honestly, it's
Phantom
more of
bad
the same stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty,
didn't think it was that much different.
Really, only slightly entertaining because it's a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just entertaining, and it's like, I guess you could sit through it and just enjoy it.
I
But
don't
Attack
want
of Phantom,
to
like,
watch those
you
movies for
can
a
like,
really long time.
yeah.
You wouldn't watch them?
I don't want to rewatch them for a while at least. Like
I mean,
maybe for
Revenge. Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch Revenge either, but like if I was, I don't know, if like some like people asked me to come like watch it with them,
I mean,
then I
yeah.
would. Like in that case, but like with Attack and Phantom, it would be like, eh. I don't
Danny,
know.
do you think Revenge is boring or no?
Mm, no, well, I still don't remember much of it except like that last fight and just some other stuff about Anakin's downfall. But no, I don't think it's boring. It's just really cheesy and stupid, and there's so many plot holes that I can point out right now. But I'm just gonna choose to like ignore them because whatever. But like, it's not boring. Like I was still invested.
I was not at all.
Maybe it's
Like,
just boring at some parts.
Anakin's
And
whole thing was to save Padme, and then Padme dies, and then he's still evil. Like, and he's just like,
I mean,
no,
there's no
Padme
going
died.
back.
Oh, okay, no, I'm just gonna be
Like,
Darth
it's
Vader for
literally-
the rest of my life.
Yeah, the dark side's kind of like an idea. Like it literally consumes you, I think. Like that's why his eyes turn. People made fun, but that's like a way of showing it's literally like consumed you and made you like evil. I don't know.
Really? Like, I
yeah,
never,
there's really no going back except for
Yeah. It's hard
when
to
he does
turn.
something good. And,
I
like,
never understood But that doesn't make sense to me because Kylo Ren, he's not consumed. Well, would you say he's consumed by the dark side because
Well,
he struggles with the
And
light
that's the
side
whole
too?
arc.
Has,
Is that
that's why he's such a compelling character. Is that he is a
Yeah,
dark
so
side,
Well,
like they're changing
I
the
mean,
rules between the movies. That's what's
no.
no, didn't
Padme said at the end, like that they're still good in him, and then Darth Vader saves Luke. So
yeah.
it's kind of the same thing with
There's
yeah.
Kylo.
a
Oh
whole
yeah.
arc in the original
It's like,
trilogy.
and their reasoning is different because Kylo's because he has ties to like the light side, like his mom's Leia and his dad's Han Solo, like that, and like his uncle's Luke. Like he has like a pull from the light side because he knows that like he has history there and he's been a Jedi before. So it's just different.
Mhm.
I don't know.
it's like it's just better.
I
Yeah.
want to point out, so Steven, the one when we were like when he's sitting in the temple and then Padme is over like in her house or whatever, that apartment with like the weird fountain. Anyway, he just like I was like, get ready for a minute and a half of like silence and or like just them staring with music. That was a joke. Like I thought it was like 30 seconds, and like I get it's supposed to be emotional because it's supposed to show him like thinking like through his
Yeah.
options or something. Like
I
that's
it
you just
was
talk about
like
pacing. Like, is that a prime example or is that like actually necessary?
well, it showed like I mean, watching Cosmot's review, that's like one of the things that he liked, and I get his reasoning. It was the one time where they just didn't spit exposition at you and they showed
Yeah,
you what was happening instead of
yeah.
just telling you. And like it was supposed to be Anakin thinking through his options, and he finally like I think it was when did that scene happen? It was
It was before he went to kill Mace Windu. For
yeah,
some
okay,
reason.
that's what I thought. So it was just like him considering his options pretty much and like taking into account Padme's life. So I mean, I
Yeah,
get the reasoning. I don't think it had to be as long as it was, and I don't know. The music was. I feel like it was really loud. In that, or no.
Like this high pitched
Yeah, yeah,
overview.
yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know. I mean, it's better than the other scenes. Not my favorite scene, probably. I don't know what my favorite scene. The movie's bad. It's
The
one
Obi
of
Wan and Anakin fight is actually good. It's long, but it's
yeah.
good. It is. A good fight.
except for the dialogue.
Yeah, it like we meme on it, but like imagine watching that movie for the first time, like not knowing it, being like, oh, they're about to fight, and then they just start spewing like a minute and a half of like line. They don't connect. Like Joey and Steve, like Joey mostly commented last night. He's like they're not answering each other's like lines.
Yeah.
Like he's like
The only
I don't
thing
even
is
It's like
I don't want to.
the only
they were
thing
trying to make lines that sound good,
yeah.
like that they're
Also make
powerful
it a
lines, but they just don't connect at
My
all.
favorite line still is he's like uh he's like the Sith are evil. Or I forget what Obi-Wan says. And Anakin's like, well, from my perspective, or from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. I'm like, okay. It's so bad. Like, what is
Then he
that
yells for
line?
yeah. No, my favorite one
That's
is
not
like when
even the
he's like,
worst
I
one.
brought peace, justice, freedom, and security to my new empire. He says, your new empire. And his immediate reaction is, don't make me kill you. Like, excuse me? How does that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan seemed okay with it. I would have done like a double take. I don't know. I mean, one of the most satisfying things is when he goes into that room and just slaughters all the separatists because it's like, yeah, screw you, Phantom Menace. He just kills all those characters who are useless and took up half the plot. I don't. I don't know. I mean,
Trying to tackle
it's
so much.
it's okay. The only thing it does good with Anakin's turn is it's definitely dark. Like he decapitates Dooku in like the first 20 minutes. Like, were you expecting that, Steve?
You're
Um,
forced to
I
do
mean,
that.
I don't know what I was
Not really.
expecting for this movie, but then yeah. But like that death doesn't even like phase him, which I mean, I guess like it's not supposed to if he's, but it
He goes,
should
I
have
should have
showed
done
like
that.
more him like battling with his
He said
morality.
like a tiny bit of, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that," but it's just
I know,
not
but that
much.
wasn't any emotion. That's the problem.
Yeah, but he
There
doesn't
was a
have
There is
little,
morality.
there
no
was a
Well,
little bit there.
He has
well,
anger.
all the time. Yeah.
Also love. He has love. No,
They
that's
could
a
have
thing that
also
happens. Oh, you go, Dan.
they could have kind of like not fixed but made Anakin's downfall a little better by completely cutting out the scene where he slaughters children. Like
Yeah,
that and no that should be like nowhere like in his head. Like
And especially
it would
because
be.
he
Well,
was like
that
five
was
minutes.
so out of the blue.
I know, yeah, because like 5 minutes ago he was like considering saving Mace Windu and killing Palpatine, but then he
Yeah.
doesn't. And then he's bad now. He goes
And
kills
it could be a
children.
powerful moment if it was like a convincing turn that they built up well. but it's not.
And he turns because he wants to cheat. Well, I don't know if this is like makes sense, but like he wants to cheat death, but then he
Yeah.
kills other people. It just doesn't make sense to me.
The
Yeah.
thing is though, like if he hadn't turned bad, I feel like Padme wouldn't have died because they said she died from losing the will to live.
Oh my, yeah, lost
He
her
doesn't
will
even die
to
from the
live.
force choke. That took me years to realize.
Yeah, and one thing that was
Um,
super funny is that she just names her two children and she just dies right after. She
could
Yeah,
just
that's
they
blurts
could
funny.
have
out
just
That's
two
said she
funny.
like
names. It's like,
died from a heart attack. Like
yeah,
that would have made a little more sense.
it's like,
But no,
excuse
she
me,
died
lady,
from a
What
before
heart
you
even-
attack.
die, please name your two children.
What about Darth Vader yelling no? How'd you like that, Steven?
It
That
was
make you happy?
good. I'm glad that they wrote that into the movie.
No, but commenting on the trilogy as a whole, it's sort of just something that happens where they just introduce people and they kill them in the most like unceremoniously like way. Like they just don't care. Like it's like, oh, like you wanted to know more about? No. Like Jango Fett, he's there, then he hops onto the Coliseum to like he jumps for Mace Windu's lightsaber. I don't know why he did that still. Like it's on the ground or something, like leaps for it anyway. Or no, maybe that was Obi-Wan's
No,
anyway.
it was that. That's what happened.
Yeah, and then he gets
Yeah.
decapitated. It's like, oh, there goes like I'm sure people because people like are in love with Boba Fett for some reason. I'm sure people were drawn to Django because he's like similar, but and Count Dooku, you don't know much about him. He just decapitated as well. Grievous, he's probably in the series for like 40 minutes, and he just. How do you lose with four like lightsabers? By the way, that's pretty.
Dude, he's spinning them so fast, and then he stopped for some reason. And why does he have a cough? Is that ever explained
Yeah, it is.
in like
That's
Clone Wars?
There's a Clone Wars like the show, like the one that was on Cartoon Network. Then there's this thing called like the Clone Wars animated series. It's just called Clone Wars, and it was like before Revenge of the Sith even came out, they aired like this 3-part special on some channel. It's like a 2D like show. Anyway, Mace Windu like forces his like heart thing, and it like crushes it and it forces him to cough. I don't know why they included that, or like I don't know, but that you shouldn't need to know that, but that's what it's from. I learned that
Every
on the
person
internet.
on the dark side just has asthma.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, he's a robot. They could have just fixed that.
I know that was yeah.
I always remembered him being so cool too, and then he's just like,
I think they're more like they're kid movies. Like they're cool for kids. Like
Yeah,
because Star Wars stuff.
then
Yeah.
the plot is
Prequels
kinda
were not
throw
made for
politics and
children.
separatism. Just like
As much as
contradicts
George
itself.
Lucas says they are not.
There's stuff for kids.
It's like George Lucas, when writing his lines, he tried to find the most complex way to say them, with like the highest terms of vocabulary.
He was trying too hard to be a good writer,
Yeah.
and then
It's like he wrote his lines, and then he looked at the thesaurus or something, and then found better, more
The first
high
one.
like level of vocabulary words to substitute for the more simpler ones, and then just presented.
The last question I have written is just so okay. It's mine was are they better than the sequels? I think everyone has the same answer, but like a lot of Star Wars media doesn't. But I also want to talk about like just the toxic fan base and like why I don't know. I want to discuss why maybe like we think that there are strong defenders of these movies. Like what like why? Like I don't know. It reminds me of the Raimi trilogy, and I've said it a lot, but it really does. And it's like I don't understand like what they're trying to defend so hard. I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I,
It's
I
like
think it's just nostalgia, and they're stupid.
yeah. Like from my point of view, growing up with the Raimi movies, it's like I remembered them being good, like because I was a kid and I didn't really know
Yeah, same.
what was good. It was just like, oh, it's Spider-Man, and then that ended up becoming like my childhood like favorite movie. And then rewatching them, obviously they're not as good as you remember at all. But it's like people just like don't want to accept that. I feel like, and
But
like
you're
it's
able
the
to
same with
recognize
Star
it,
Wars,
and I was.
and it's just like I don't know. Those
I don't.
people are just dumb.
Yeah, I don't. You can't call the sequels bad movies, and then like top the prequels over the sequels. Like I've said this before, but like I completely understand why Star Wars fans don't like the sequels. I personally do, but saying that the prequels are better is just no.
Yeah,
I mean,
Hating them
I have
both
a
is fine, but I like the sequels, except for Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker sucks.
I just gotta rewatch them. I don't remember them that well, but like I
They are
remember
better, I promise
I
you. Like
understood what was happening, and I wasn't like bored.
it's
So
the same.
that,
It's the same as the original trilogy in the sense that the story like follows characters and the main plot is just good versus evil, like trying to top
Yeah,
each other.
yeah,
so they
It's
didn't need to
comprehensible.
change
It's
it.
easy
It was
to
so
understand.
simple,
And
and
that's what the original trilogy did. That's
I
why
know
people
that's what I'm
liked them. Yeah,
saying.
people say
Yeah,
it's nostalgia bait, but it's just simple. I don't. I don't. Rise of
like
Skywalker's
people say
definitely
it's
not
a
better.
rip off of like the trilogy storyline. Like the characters are different, kind of, right? Like,
yeah.
can you agree on that? And
I
I mean,
mean, kind of. They just tried to like remake the old characters that people
yeah,
liked.
like Cosmo said, there's no really Han Solo figure,
No,
and
Poe was supposed to be Han Solo.
but like
I didn't.
Also,
not really, he's not really Han Solo because
That's I think that's what they were trying to do though.
they were. I mean, he's a pilot. He's supposed to be
Yeah,
Han.
and he's supposed to be
yeah,
like this
I guess.
badass guy who
Yeah, he's
I
supposed to
don't
be.
know.
He's
Also,
definitely.
Han Solo is there, so say hi to him.
It's but
Then he dies.
the fan base. The whole argument is like, at least the prequels had original ideas and a story that flowed. Like I gave it that compliment because it does. Like it did have. It did stick to a story. It doesn't make it good, but it did do that. And people always say, "Oh, the sequels are nostalgia bait." Listen, it's not that like nostalgia baity. And like I will. I don't know. Like I was able to watch those and be enjoyed. Like I'll take that over whatever we just watched. Like I probably won't be watching the prequels for a very long time after that. I've had my fill. I don't know.
So boring. It's so hard to watch.
And it's just people. I don't. Do you think that argument's like valid? Like, because
No.
Ethan, he said that he's like, well, if you listen to it and you listen to the story and like you don't let the politics like overrun it, then it has like a story that's like I was like I don't.
I mean,
See it anyway.
there's like the
Don't let the
story could have been good.
politics
They're just bad
override. Are you
movies.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
kidding?
I was talking about this with Nathan because he was like, "Well, just be excited for the how Anakin turns because it's so dumb." And I was just like, I was thinking in my head the good ways
yeah.
for
You drew
him.
up an idea that was like, oh, maybe, but no, it's not
It
gonna
was
happen.
like it should have been connected more to his mom because that was in. I said like in Phantom, it should have been like he didn't really want to go, like he was reluctant to leave his mom,
And she like died
and like
over.
he should have been older, so that it would have made more sense because
Yeah,
then it would like be coming from someone who can like think other than like a 6 year old who has no idea what's going on. And um and then it would have been like, okay, he was like reluctant to leave, but then he leaves and he's like finally learning to become a Jedi and he's accepting it. But then when he learns that his mom dies, um he like blames the Jedi for taking him away from her, and like it would have been a lot more, it would have made a lot more sense in a sense, like he would have blamed everyone and it would have been in a way where like I don't know, that's yeah,
like it would have been a better like
turn for
reason
him.
to turn to the dark side.
Yeah, and like it would have,
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just like
yeah,
why did they do it the way they did? It didn't.
yeah. Like what you said, like making Anakin a little boy in the Phantom Menace was a huge mistake. Like they should have had Anakin like as his older self in Phantom Menace, acting like a hero, like having a good chemistry with Obi-Wan. And then Attack of the Clones, same thing in the beginning, and then towards the end, you could well, I guess you could hint at like his him turning to the dark side, and then Attack of the Clones, he becomes like more detached towards the
Mhm.
end, and then Revenge, he could like fall to the dark side. That would make so much more sense. And I felt like because I've kind of gotten used to Hayden Christensen's bad acting by the time like Revenge came along, because I've already watched Attack. I felt like I still would have, um, thought Anakin's downfall would have made more sense, and then therefore I've been less disappointed at Anakin when I compare him from Clone Wars to him from the prequels. Like that was disappointing to me when I saw him in Clone Wars. He was a completely different character, and he's not so. He was definitely not somebody to turn to the dark side like the way he did in the prequels. So I
Yeah,
felt like if they like changed the way he falls to the dark side, like to the way I just explained, it would have been definitely been less disappointing.
yeah.
So
It's just the
they
story should
just
have
shouldn't
been
have made him
focused on
a kid.
Anakin. Like that's the whole point of the prequels was to show Darth Vader's backstory. And the
Yeah, they
first
just
movie
rushed
isn't
it
even about him,
hard.
and it's just like okay. And the second movie, I mean, he's like, I guess you can call him the main character. I would still consider Obi-Wan.
He has the interesting plot line.
Yeah,
I don't. Wait, Danny said how like weird a choice it was to have him as a little boy in Phantom Menace, and even then, like they could have had him. Like I don't like that either, but they could have had him, and like they don't even like pair him with Obi Wan. Like nobody wants to see
Yeah.
him like with Qui Gon and Jar Jar. Like I guess Padme like that needs to be there because they're, but like the whole thing is about their chemistry, like Obi Wan and Anakin, and like they barely get screen time
in
together.
the
Like the
first
more you
movie,
think
they
about
don't
it,
like
they get
Anakin.
split up all the
Obi-Wan doesn't
time. And
even like Anakin.
I know the only reason he trains him is because it was Qui Gon's like dying wish,
Yeah,
and then the time they're supposed to like spend together is between 1 and 2 because he's his Padawan, and like luckily like the time between 2 and 3 has an excuse of like Clone Wars filling the gap and you can see that, but you shouldn't even need that. But like 1 and 2 has no excuse at all. They just
mm,
randomly become best friends by the time it's like
yeah.
episode 2, and he's like, "You were my brother, Anakin." Like I didn't see that at all. Actually, like you could say
Right,
it all you
right.
want, but
I mean,
I
the
don't even know if
only
you guys.
time where you actually feel like they have chemistry is in the beginning of Revenge, and I pointed
Yeah,
it out because I was like, oh, Anakin likes Obi-Wan now, because like
yeah,
in Attack, like he was mad at Obi-Wan for majority of the movie for not
yeah.
like letting him do more, like becoming a master, and it's
And
just
I just remember too, like I didn't think, um, like you were saying, Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship was completely off screen. The attack literally started out with a scene of Obi-Wan and Anakin going like reflecting on like their memories
Oh
together.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Literally
Like
like
remember all
it was
the
like the
times you had to
beginning
do
scene. I thought it was
It would
like
be
a
cool.
middle scene
I
to the
would
end,
have
but
liked
it
to
was
see that.
very beginning, and that was just funny.
it's just like it's and even their like interactions reflecting is just so awkward. Like they just, it's just bad. Like it's not convincing at all.
It's literally just like George Lucas reminding us, "Hey, they're friends now, so that's what
Yeah,
you have to believe."
I don't know.
It's like okay.
George Lucas character, it's so bad. The movies, it's like not. They're never. You're never shown anything at all. Like every scene is dedicated to exposition always.
it's still not show. It's so off,
Yeah.
and it's even more disappointing knowing that the original trilogy exists and it's just so like solid and simple, and everyone like generally likes it except for Danny who doesn't like New Hope. So,
New Hope is so
Danny, do you like Revenge more than New Hope?
kill you.
I don't know.
You're a
I don't
scrub.
remember. I don't remember any of these movies that well anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
The
if you
only ones
watch
I
them,
really remember that are like clear in my head are Rogue One, Force Awakens, Last Jedi,
the modern ones.
most of Revenge, and Attack now that we just like watched it.
New
Uh,
Hope is a little boring, but it
yeah, I
makes
thought New Hope was boring at first, but then it got good when they
it
infiltrated.
It
makes sense
definitely
of
is
the
the least
plot,
interesting.
and it's like okay, like I can actually follow it, and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is slower. I agree, but
I feel like I should say that it is a better movie than Revenge.
Yes, you should.
Mine goes
I didn't like it as much as other people did though, but I guess it is.
it's definitely. I mean, it's the same thing that Iron Man and Avengers like have for New Hope is that it's the first one. It's the original. It's like the
yeah.
first one. It definitely gets that praise, and like I try not to give it that. Like it's probably my least favorite of the originals now. I still like it, but I think the other two are better.
I don't know. I feel like the reason I just like don't like the prequel. I mean, like obviously the prequels are just bad, but like the I liked Return like slightly better than Empire,
Yeah,
just
I see
because
it.
I liked Darth Vader's arc, even though it's like a predictable one. Like the villain has a redeeming moment
No, yeah,
with the main character. Like I'm like halfway through the movie, I was like, okay, this is probably gonna happen, and then it did. And then but like I still liked it. Like it was a simple and easy solution to the end of the movie. But then it's like, okay, I would like to see Darth Vader's character before and like him being good, then becoming bad, then also showing that good again at the end of Return. But then
Yeah.
the prequels just messed everything up. It's not even about Anakin. It's like what we talked about earlier. Like it's I don't know.
It it just, I mean, imagine like being George Lucas, being done with the originals, blank slate. Imagine none of these happened, and be like, how am I gonna write a story to like show this guy's turn to become like what everyone knows to be Darth Vader? Like, how do you throw that onto the paper? Like, how is that the best you? I don't know. It's just really weird.
Hmm.
And I think the good idea he had was like the motivation of like love being one of the like pushing factors, because it made sense. Like, that's a good idea. Like his attachment to Padme being the thing, like to turn him, like his want to like save her from death, like that could be a good idea if it was developed, but it was just really out of place.
Especially because you still don't believe that Padme and Anakin are married.
Yeah, you just don't buy their chemistry. And people were all talking about, because he sold his company to Disney, obviously, and they made the sequels, and everyone's like, "Oh, like I want to see George's original vision now. I wish, oh, he didn't give it to Disney. We could have seen, like, you really want his original vision? I doubt it's better than the sequels. Like, if it's more of those prequels, I don't know if it would be better.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Sequels have problems, but they're not the entire movie like the prequels.
I mean, there are like some parts you can laugh at, like Leia flying through the sky, but it's not like
Yeah,
you just laugh at the whole movie.
yeah, I know exactly.
I feel like people just aren't like prequel fans are just like holding on to that nostalgia and they won't accept that there's new characters that are actually good.
I
And like
mean, a lot of the characters from the sequels weren't good. I'd
yeah,
say the majority of them were average or below average,
I know, but
but the movies in general were better.
yeah,
Going back to what Steven said about Darth Vader and Luke, like they're like, or I didn't say, but like Luke has an arc, even like from New Hope, complaining
mhm,
about the Tashi station, or whatever, to like Return being this like wise Jedi who turns his father. Anyway, he even has an arc. Like, I don't know besides Anakin if anyone in the prequels like has a character arc, like starts here, ends there, either grew or fall, or like got worse. Besides like Vader, because he turns to Vader, so that's inevitable.
yeah.
Like,
There's
has
no.
there anyone?
I mean,
Like,
they had nothing to start with. They had if you don't have a personality trait, you can't develop it. So,
like Obi-Wan is cool because he's Obi-Wan and everyone likes him, but like he doesn't have that much
well, I
beneath
mean,
him.
you don't get to see his only arc would be from Phantom to Attack because in
Yeah,
Phantom he's he's still
just stands
questioning
there.
Qui-Gon and like what he's doing, and then in Attack he's like supposed to be this wise Jedi master
Yeah,
that you don't get to see like him become, and that would be his only arc, and but you don't get to see it because everyone's
That's why they have the show.
supposed to be this
yeah,
wise
exactly.
person, and you're just supposed
Actually, the show is in between 1 and 2, so you didn't even get an explanation to that.
to, I don't know.
I
I
will say, like, I already liked Clone Wars and Mandalorian, but watching these, no spoilers for either, but like it, even watching the original, like I just have a lot more respect for both Clone Wars and the Mandalorian for just having like good
Yeah.
stories, good characters, and something to look forward to. I don't know.
They just kind of wrote
Also,
themselves into a hole for like not
yeah,
developing the characters because the Jedi are just supposed to be these wise characters that know everything. So you can't really have any character growth there. And then
also they
Palpatine, the only other like main character, is just supposed to be ultimate evil. So he's not
yeah,
going to good. And so there's not really development there either. So it's just like you can't really develop those characters and it's their fault for doing that. So
yeah. Well, last comment, like just to wrap it up, is it's more of a fan question. Is Mace Windu alive? And I never thought I'd have to ask that, but I've seen that all over Instagram and YouTube, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he
I
survived."
mean,
I hope he is not.
it's like with Palpatine surviving, falling through that hole, and the Death Star blowing up, and Kylo Ren falling in a massive hole. He just
Yeah,
fell, so
they
he could come back
survive
too.
all. They're Jedi's, Joey. You don't understand.
but I don't even understand why people want him to come. He doesn't have anything interesting. I don't know if
Yeah,
I
he's
like
I
him.
kind
don't
of
know why
just.
people have these fan favorites that are just like not character. Like they don't have any character traits. Like Boba
Just like,
Fett, what did he do
okay,
exactly
here's the
that
thing.
made him likable?
It's just
He looked
people
cool.
like him because he's a cool character. So when you're a kid, you like him.
Not a cool character.
I mean,
He
but
was
there's people like
For
to his
kids,
point, right?
yeah.
yeah, I
People
guess.
like Anakin, like that they want him to return to Kenobi. Like, I don't understand that.
But at least he would like got screen time somewhat.
I mean,
Like Like Boba Fett and Mace Windu are so irrelevant. Why are they favorites?
Windu is Samuel L. Jackson, so he's cool, I guess. Also, he has a light purple lightsaber.
I don't like him. He's such an idiot. All the Jedi's are so stupid in the prequel.
Oh, what'd you think of them trying to capture Emperor Palpatine and then like two of them just die because they stand there?
Yeah, there's so many Jedi that are just dispensable because they're
They're so
useless.
bad. Really
But,
bad
like-
at fighting.
He literally jumped at them, and they're just like he like had time to stab both of them while Mace Windu and Kip is just. It was just a really weird thing to include.
Yeah, and there's just so
It didn't
many
make me think
things.
he was powerful.
So many things in the movie where they just like introduce it but never explain it. Like they never really truly explain why they didn't make Anakin a master. I feel like there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
'Cause they ended up just pushing him farther to the dark side. Like I guess giving him a master would give him more power so that if he did turn, like I guess he'd be more powerful. I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. It doesn't make any sense.
They mentioned that he
They
was a
just said
young.
he's too. Yeah, and he's too close to the Chancellor. That's what they said.
Yeah, he's kind of reckless. He sort of jumps out of like ships and stuff.
But what was
Yeah.
I don't
There's explanations for a lot of things, just not very good ones.
And they're not really from the movies, kind of like formed, and you kind of have to think through it. I don't know.
that is how a movie should be told. You
Yeah, you
shouldn't.
just guess.
Yeah. Okay, we should probably wrap it up. I think we're closing in on an hour. 50.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
50
God dang.
That's
Yeah.
not too long.
Closing thoughts and your plugs for, you know. Danny, you got any closing thoughts on this whole trilogy?
I don't even know. This is.
Okay,
I
good
don't know how
closing
to rate
thoughts.
it. Like, should I just take my scores for like all three and then average them out? Because if I do that, then it's pretty bad.
I want to hear your score just for each one, I guess.
Okay, well, Phantom Menace, I gave it a 2 out of 10. Attack is a 3 out of 10. Revenge is a 6 out of 10.
Wow, big jump. I don't know. Attack's pretty close.
Yeah, I don't even like. That's not even because I
I
haven't
didn't
like
like it that much.
I reviewed. I usually like my scores for each movie have changed like a couple times, and I've had those scores for a while now. But like, I don't know. I keep thinking about it, and my scores change. So I don't know if those scores are really accurate in my point of view. But that's just what they are for now. I did change attack from 2.5 to 3 though,
Nice.
because it was more. It was hilarious. It was fun.
Good. I'm glad you think so, Danny.
I have one closing thought. I just wonder over time, like for the sequels, if they will grow a fan base nearly close to this one. Because back then, like the prequels were largely hated. Even when I was like a kid, like nobody really liked the prequels. Like I've never heard anyone. Like now, I think it's mostly just social media. I could see people publicly say they're not that bad. Oh, they're not. It's just the dialogue that's bad. But people defend them now, like with a passion, and there's like this fan base. So I wonder, like 20 years from now, like and the sequels are better than the prequels, like almost as a fact. And it's just like I wonder if 20 years from now we'll see that same thing. And I kind of hope we do because they're really not that bad, the sequels. And I don't know. I just think it's interesting how
feel
things
like-
age.
There's gonna be strong fans for anything, so probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. The originals should just be widely accepted as the best trilogy.
I think everyone does hope. Well, no, not prequel fans sometimes.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you not?
Yeah. How was about yeah?
Okay. Anyways.
Cool
Joe,
fans think that they're better than the originals. Really?
Some people.
Yeah, some people are just. I mean, there's people that say the Raimi trilogy is better than MCU Spider-Man. So.
I can't believe that.
And then there's people
Alright.
that think Andrew Garfield. We'll talk about
Raimi
this.
trilogy is about to be canon and Amazing Spider-Man.
Yep. Just everything.
I like
I guess I don't know though.
Okay.
That movie's
so
gonna be bad.
Let
Anyway,
Joey
let's-
close.
Amazing.
Joey, closing thoughts.
I mean, they're not terrible. They're not good. That's
I agree
really
with that, actually.
a
Bad.
summary of the whole
Raimi
trilogy.
is just bad and boring.
I think for us personally, it helped to watch them together because it's like watching that
I
alone
would've
I'd
died.
probably fall. Danny had that luxury of watching them
Okay.
alone, so
Well, that's our podcast for today.
A
Follow.
long one.
Yeah, it was a long one. Follow Instagram, TikTok, podcast _time_times for clips of our podcast and tune in for our next episode. Everyone say bye.
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 Bye. Ah.